Cancer seems to be on the increase, and everybody seems to be noticing it. So there's no getting away from the question. The problem is that people don't want to look carefully at the mechanisms because it comes with connotations. And for those people who are regularly listening to me, you'll know exactly what I mean. I recently did a presentation in Malaysia, and this was looking at mechanisms of cancer spread and the role of CD147 in the metabolism and immune escape. And I thought after doing that presentation that I should share these ideas with you. I'm not sure if I'll share the whole presentation live here, and you may, if you've looked at this later and the full thing is not there, just look in the description. I'm sure there'll be a link where you can see it. But essentially, what has happened is that cancer seems to be increasing in terms of the frequency in younger age groups, and it seems to be more aggressive. So the two things together are a real concern. And no matter how much it's being discounted, it doesn't seem that the question is going away because so many people keep on coming across people who have had cancer. Here is a recent clip that made me decide to share this with you, and this is from Australia, and you can take a listen to this.
More young Australians are being diagnosed with cancers once thought to affect mostly older people. Doctors say environmental factors may be to blame, as one woman bravely shares her story, hoping to spark change.
This is what chemotherapy looks like, one of the most powerful treatments to kill cancer, being given here to a 35-year-old woman.
Jessica, are you scared right now?
Terrified. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, to battle this cancer.
A rare form of ovarian cancer, but the process to get to this treatment was painful.
I approached a few doctors who told me that I was too young for cancer, that it was something that was generally considered more in older people. I got told that it could be a stomach ulcer.
It wasn't until being admitted to hospital a year later that doctors found a 13-kilogram tumour, the size of a watermelon.
They removed the tumour along with my right ovary and my right fallopian tube. Now, from that, they obviously did testing, which determined that I have an exceptionally rare cancer.
She's sharing her story, hoping other young Australians, particularly women, will speak up.
Hear us, really hear what we're saying and, push for further testing, because that could be the difference between being diagnosed in stage 1 or stage 3 and 4.
Jessica's story is becoming more common. Cancer rates are increasing in young Australians. Ovarian cancer is up 30%, breast cancer 50%, and bowel cancer 71%. Increases also in prostate, pancreatic and liver cancer.
We think that there's a big impact from environmental factors, be it what people are eating, people smoking, what people are drinking, the amount of exercise they're doing.
More research.
I pause there. You notice that they excluded another few factors, but just to say, let's hear the end of it's almost done.
Is needed. For now, Jessica knows what she has to do.
Ovarian cancer picked a fight with the wrong woman.
A fight she says she won't lose. Jennifer Beshwati, 7 News.
So this is Australia, and there is no doubt that this is a pattern that we're seeing across the world. So what I've done for those people who still don't quite believe this is true, I went and looked at NordCan, which is looking at the association of cancer in Nordic countries. And this was just crude rate per 100,000 for both sexes, age 40 to 49. So you can adjust on the left-hand side here the different categories to look at it. And so I picked both sexes, incidence, all cancer sites, and the region, so Denmark, age 40 to 49, looking between 2010 and 2024. And what you can see here, there was a peak in 2016, came down in the pandemic period. Post-pandemic, you could imagine there are still some people who may have missed diagnosis, but in younger people, it wouldn't be so relevant. Increasing in 2022 up to 2023, about the same in 2024. And this is the highest it has been since 2010 in age groups 40 to 49. So I'm not making this up. This is there. This is what the statistics are telling us. What we don't know is what exactly is the cause. What is the mechanism? I'm here to share with you today what I think is happening and why this is relevant. And so you just have to hang fire as I look at this presentation and share with you what I did with regards to some research. And to start off with, this is, as I said, about mechanisms of cancer spread and the role of CD147. And this came up because of this paper here about inducible CD147 upregulation boosts extended SARS-CoV-2 infection, triggering severe COVID-19 independent of ACE2. Quite a mouthful. The important point here is that, one, this paper was only recently published in 2026, and it noted something that we didn't really know before. We always knew that there was the potential for the virus to exploit this receptor CD147, which we'll learn some more about. But what was different in terms of this paper is that they found that it upregulated CD147. Now, it's very important to understand where the connection comes between the fact that this is likely to be happening in parts of the world that are highly vaccinated, and it's going to be a number of factors coming together. In truth, it almost represents the perfect storm for cancer. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. They had mentioned in the presentation about the cancer risks, lifestyle cancer risks. You can see here food, obesity, inactivity, smoking, ultraviolet radiation with skin cancer, and vaccination with regards to HPV specifically. And 5 out of 10 cancers are theoretically modifiable. And so we have a situation where cancer is increasing and there are modifiable risk factors. But because of prevention, early screening, cancer cases had been falling. Post-pandemic, they're rising, and the excuse has been that it's rising because people have missed screening. And that has some truth to it, but I only apply that to up to 2022. Beyond 2022, it should fall back into normal, standard, general cancer cases. And additionally, cancer was specifically a risk factor for severe COVID. And these studies with regards to CD147 may explain why people with cancer had more severe disease. And so what it meant is that you would have lower numbers of people with cancer because they would have had severe COVID-19 after the pandemic. But now we're seeing cancer rising in young people. And you have to remember that the cancer doesn't just appear. There are multiple levels of protection against cancer. And I've created this to show your general health, toxins or some infections, genetic predisposition, immune failure. And immunity I have at the base because fundamentally, cancer represents immune failure. Because normally, your body produces cancer cells all the time, but your immune system usually can pick it up and destroy it. And this is why in some places they are now promoting vaccines to help with cancer. The Russians are looking at that because fundamentally, if the immune system is robust enough, it can impact on the spread of cancer and the growth of cancer. Now, in 2022, I took the controversial step of speaking about potential links with regards to specifically COVID vaccines. And I did a full presentation on that. And as time has gone by, this presentation I did is still relevant today. And essentially what I looked at were a number of points regarding spike protein and the way it interacted with the immune system. macrophage dysregulation, P53 and the S2 protein, part of the spike protein, SV40 contamination, probably a low relevant factor, interferon suppression, IgG4 elevation. And this was the primary target that I had looked at that time. But over the years, there have been a number of other factors that has come in. But when we talk about CD147, and this will then be included now in my focus, you can see here that this CD147 is a metabolic enabler. Now, this is extremely important because it's not a direct cancer link, it's an indirect cancer link. Because what this does, and this is just showing you here a transporter and a receptor. Let's just imagine this is not exactly the case, that this CD147 helps to get these transporters that shuttle lactate out of cancer cells to the surface. All I can say is that this is not my idea. This is what the paper has said. Now, some people may interpret the paper in different ways, but based on what I have seen, this upregulation of CD147 that is linked to severe COVID-19 means that tumor cells that already have CD147, not only will they increase the risk of persistent infection, but they will increase the risk of spread because of the mechanisms that are being used to be able to handle the spread of disease and virus. Remember, this is not just my idea. As I showed you at the start, this is what we are seeing in Denmark. 2023, 2024, the highest levels they have been since 2016 in age groups 40 to 49 for all cancers. We need to understand what's going on, because the longer it takes to find an understanding and to be able to address some of these patterns, the more difficult it will be to mitigate the impacts. This is relevant to everyone. And so this is not something for us to get too political about. We all have to work together to try and understand more of what's going on. And let's see if we can find solutions. Thank you for watching. If you can't see the full thing, look in the description below and you'll be able to get a link to watch the full presentation. Have a great evening.